everybody. This is Jeff Veale, the business guru, coming to you from downtown Manila. And I've got a very interesting guest today. That's a funny thing. I was doing a promotion, or what do you want to call it, a post across all the different social media channels about the very subject this woman's talking about. It's just a sheer coincidence, right? We're talking today to Cathy Holt, and Cathy Holt is a leadership coach, and the company name is Cathy Holt Coaching, Personal and Professional Development. She's been in the industry a little bit, just a mere 35 years. Imagine what she's learned and what's changed, guys, in 35 years. We're not talking caveman stuff here, but we're talking a long, long time ago, right? It might have even been before mobile. It was before mobile phones. Might have even been before colour TV. I remember as a kid watching black and white TV in the window of the shops, guys. So it's amazing how much we've changed. A brief description. At the heart of our work is a bold belief. When women step fully into their voices, they don't just change their lives, they change the world. How true is that, guys? Right? We are a leadership development and equity consulting firm dedicated to helping women uncover and own and amplify their unique leadership and power. And women, it's that time you stood up, all of you, through transformational coaching, strategic programs, and our signature L.E.A.D.S, LEADS framework. We support women at every stage of their leadership journey, from those just beginning to those who are ready to scale with their impact. Our approach blends personal insight and real-world strategy, empowering clients to lead with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. Rooted in 35 years of global advocacy, grassroots mentoring, high-level expertise in creating communities of fairness, respect, and belonging. We don't just prepare women for leadership, we help them redefine it. And there's a lot more here, guys, but I'm going to let my guest do the speaking. Hello there, Cathy. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me here, Jeff. And it's been a pleasure. Our warm-up has been a pleasure. So I'm looking forward to this time we spend together.
It's going to be awesome, like all you other women. Tell us about your journey and what inspired you to pursue your current career path all those years ago. Where did it all begin?
Well, and actually it began longer than 35 years ago. I grew up kind of in the 70s when women were supposed to be quiet and not show up. Yeah. I just officially started working at it about 35 years ago. But yeah, I mean, we were just told to be seen and not heard, and don't be too, aggressive, make people comfortable. And what happened was, in school, it was kind of my first inkling, was when I was in school, I noticed that my male counterparts were being offered all kinds of career options that I was not. I mean, we talk when we're not in the career office, and we were basically told secretary, which is what it was called back then. I'm not being pejorative, or nurse or teacher. And those are great, great, great options for many, many women and many, many men. However, those were the only options we were being offered. And I was like, no, I hear all these other things that the guys are talking about. Why can't I think about those things? So that was kind of the first inkling of what I felt was not fair. I mean, I just thought, why can't I do that too? Unfortunately, I did have parents that were very supportive. My dad always said he wanted to create, he had 3 girls, he wanted independent individuals. So we were taught to kind of think and question and do. And so that was where it all started. And just little by little, I remember kind of the first time I really raised my voice, because actually in high school I was really pretty shy and not real confident, but that was the 70s for women. I mean, you were constantly being put down. And so I think that was a common theme for many, many women. But as I started speaking up or saying things, I remember one time we were just in a group, and this was in college, and we were doing some group think, and so one of my friends, a woman, said something, and then silence, and then some guy reiterated what she said, And everyone goes, yeah, that's a great idea. And I'm like, wait a second, that's not right either. So when it came my turn to talk, I said, I'll just call her Mary. I said, Mary, I am so glad you brought that up and that Johnny agreed with you because that's a great idea. And I'm just so it's just little things like that that's leadership. Leadership is not necessarily titles. It's doing things in the everyday to, raise your voice to find fairness and equity.
Love it.
That's how I started.
Let's move on to number two. What's been the most challenging aspect of your work, and how have you overcome it over all these years?
Um, I think going back to the whole being sometimes the only woman in the room. I mean, I worked in politics in Texas for over 15 years, and oftentimes this was in the 90s and the early 2000s. And sometimes being the only woman in the room and being told, don't worry your pretty little head over that, was really, it was all I could do to not, you know, smack somebody sometimes, And so, yeah. And so sometimes maintaining what were my values and how I wanted to present to the world and my authenticity and my integrity, I had to maneuver many, and I'm not the only one. Women tend to have to do this anyway, but had to maneuver many situations like that where when it first hits you, a comment like that, you do kind of react. It's like being, it's hit with a ball or something, in the game of war that we used to play in the gym, in the gymnasium, throwing balls at each other. But you have to center yourself and say, okay, I can't react that same way if I want to get to the outcome I want to get to, or, achieve what I want to achieve, or have an impact I want to have it as an impact. So those were those are hard times because you do take it in, you do take it personally, but you have to flip the switch and say, it's not about me, it's about them or him or her, I can control how I react.
Tell us about an important moment in your career, that aha moment that changed your direction.
I have actually had quite a few because I have changed directions quite a few times. I mean, yeah, but I think the aha moments were, or the aha moment was probably when my daughter, she was 18 and she was her first year in college and she had a stroke and she became a hemiplegic. She couldn't move her left side. And she had to, I had to accompany her through her
Journey.
and support her through her rehab because unfortunately her dad left it at about that time also, or right afterwards. And so I was the sole person doing everything. And what it made me realize is that, because we talk about how life is short and this and that and on and on. But when something like that happens, and I wasn't that old either, and it was like, whoa, I need to rethink what it is that I am really passionate about. What do I value? What impact do I want to have? Because if this can happen to an 18-year-old,
yes,
then it could happen in a split second to me or to, anybody I loved. So she's doing great. She lives in New York and works and has a great job. But the process really made me go, wait a second, I've got to rethink life.
Things
and
can
me
change.
and
You're
what I
right.
want.
Things can change in seconds. I mean, just recently, I went to an Airbnb and the aircon wasn't working. I thought it was flat battery, so I got up on a chair, and unbeknown to me, the rug wasn't secured, so the chair went from under me, and I smashed my knee. But more importantly, my 125 kg went into a bookshelf right across the top of my shoulder, and I broke my shoulder. And that wasn't something I was looking forward to. It was
Oh,
really
no.
unbelievable. And 1 minute, and it was like a horror movie, honest to God, because the shelf had all these vases and glasses and all raining down on top of me. It was pretty unbelievable, And who's
Yeah.
expecting? You're not expecting this stuff, right? Just
Yeah.
out of the blue,
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it made me appreciate it. Now I'm sitting there with a very short shoulder. Luckily, I've had a broken shoulder before, so I know what I'm going through the same thing of years ago. So it's not as bad because I know what to expect and how long before it heals, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. but so I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean. In your opinion, what are the key qualities and skills that have helped contribute to your success along the way?
I think probably there's several, and one of them is having taken the time to know myself, to
Good.
really reflect on what is important to me. I've said that several times now because it is so important. If we don't know what we want, how can we help other people figure out or have an impact on what other people think or do, or what that we want to have? So I think that taking that time to do that and really evaluate what I want. Another skill is being a little brash
Love
sometimes,
that.
you know,
Love it.
to be,
Oh, but speaking up for
sometimes you
yourself.
just,
You know,
exactly. And
some people
sometimes,
call it brash. I call it, having some balls. You know, speak up for yourself. You know,
exactly. And, I just think that once again, going back to, my parents and, that whole independent individual thing, once I found my voice, I working in politics, I learned to be respectful and
sure.
choose words carefully and message carefully,
Yeah,
but not to be silenced.
that's right.
And that sometimes I am, sometimes I choose to be, but just because of the situation or once again, what I'm trying to accomplish. But having that inner voice that just says, be an outer voice, and doing that. So I think that's another skill. And just also being a constant learner,
Yeah,
continuous learner,
you
that
obviously
growth
got a lot of
mindset.
resilience. It's a big one, resilience. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me, um, in your opinion, um, what are the key qualities and skills that have helped you along the way?
I think one is communication.
Big one, very big,
I, that I think that's a very important one, learning how to
very.
communicate. And when I worked in politics, I actually had I was fortunate enough because I was getting into some campaign management, and I also was doing some lobbying. And so the organization I was working with had a communication specialist come in, and she watched us in action, and she finally said to me, Cathy, I need to work with you a little bit. And I said, oh, okay. I said, what do I need? And she goes, you're scary. And I went, oh, okay.
You got
I'm
a brain, that's
scary.
why. You got a
So,
brain, that's why you were scary.
yeah. So, I'm working in a man's world. It's not
Yeah,
hard sometimes to be scary, but I learned to communicate in such a way where I thought of who I was communicating instead of necessarily what I wanted to say, so
yeah,
that my message matched their ability to hear it or
man.
to feel it in that way. So one skill is communications. The other that I think I'm good at is listening.
That's a really important
I
skill.
listening to learn rather than listening to debate or to prove my point. Listening to learn, you it teaches you so much, and then you can create relationships so much better,
Absolutely.
by listening to learn.
And really listen.
And then
Yeah,
go ahead.
really listen. Listen to what they don't say as well.
Yes, yes, that's what I was just going to say. And there's communicate go back to communication. So much of communication is nonverbal. There's all
Yes,
kinds of statistics, whether it's 80%, 75%, whatever. It's nonverbal, so you have to be able to read people, and that is listening to what they say, but also noticing how they feel, how they're reacting, and that's all part of that whole system. And then I think one other one is empathy.
very
I
important.
sometimes am over empathic, but trying to understand what got them there, what were their lived experiences. They're the expert in their life. They have lived it. They know it. It's their perspective is valuable because they've lived their life and they are their experts.
That's
But
right.
being able to try and feel or understand what they've gone through and hear their stories, and be empathetic to their journey and whatever they've had to confront to and overcome and thrive. And those things I think are important in anybody's work, quite
Covered that
honestly.
very well, Kathy. How do you stay motivated and continue, as you do, to innovate in your field and reach out to the right people? How do you do that?
Well, right now it's kind of easy because there's so many challenges to women's leadership right now.
Yeah,
So
one at a
in the
time, right?
States here, I know
One
you're
at a
not in
time.
the States, but right now, it's like, I worked very hard on a lot of different women's issues. I even taught women and gender studies at the university level. And, so I know a lot about the history of women's rights. And right now, there was a time that I was probably easing off a little bit. And then, given the circumstances we're facing here in the States right now, women's rights are being attacked and women are being downplayed. And
Yes,
I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do this all over again. So gear
yes.
back up, get the motors running. And that's why I wrote my book because, I've thought about and talked about writing a book for many, many years. But with what was happening, I thought, I've got to get this out now because now is when women need it. It's a guidebook on how to do how to how to discover and awaken your leadership skills and how to develop them and how to scale them up.
Women don't want to be better; they want to be equal. Nothing wrong with it being equal, guys. Right? They don't want to be better; they want to be
Yeah,
equal.
we did. We want equal opportunities. We
That's
equal
right.
what go back to high school, equal opportunities, access to those opportunities.
Yeah,
That's all,
correct.
that's what we want.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's not hard, not that hard. Tell us about a recent project or achievement you're particularly proud of, apart from your book. What else?
Um, well, I actually, it sort of relates to my book, but I was asked to be a chapter in a book that's a compilation of 262 women's voices, and asked to write the foreword to it. And because I was so involved in it, I got to go to the Emmys for
Fantastic.
where it was launched. Yeah, it was launched in a celebrity gifting lounge, and it was there that people encouraged me to write my own book, which was then finished and launched in time for the Oscars. So I went to the Oscars to launch my book there. So
It's awesome.
those are really those really hit me hard.
Yeah,
They were
absolutely.
incredible
That's an awesome
experiences.
story. Tell
Uh-huh.
me, the 18-year-old version of you, what would you tell a younger version of you aspiring to follow in your footsteps? What would you tell them these days? So many things have
Oh,
changed. What would you tell them?
oh many. A whole book worth, but let me try and summarize. One is don't let anybody put you in a box.
Correct. Believe in yourself.
You
Yeah.
know, those social constructs, ignore them.
Yeah.
Figure out who you are and go for it and do it and don't let anybody stop you.
Yeah. Follow your
And
dreams.
yeah, use your voice. Um, don't let people silence you. And just be you. Be true to you, and to heck with everybody else.
One of my guests the other day, a lady told me something awesome. It was like, you ready? It was, be a good human. And I thought that
Yes.
was fantastic. Be a good human. And I thought, how cool is that? How simple is that?
Well,
How
yeah, that
cool is
that
that?
that's kind of the base. That's the basic foundation for
Yeah.
everything else,
Yeah.
really.
Be a good human. You know, a smile costs you
Yeah.
nothing. Nothing, guys. Smile at someone
Oh,
today and see what
exactly.
happens. Right? Um,
Yep.
so looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations for the future, Cathy? You're obviously going to keep on going. What are your goals and aspirations for the future?
Um, well, I am actually launching more opportunities to work with women. I'm doing a free workshop in June, and then for those that want to
Online or
scale
in
up.
person or both?
Online. I
Online.
do a
Yeah.
lot of public speaking, especially, like I've been on UN panels and
Awesome.
things like that. So I do also do that, and I will continue to do that. But I really want to open it up so that all women, any woman who wants to access any kind of leadership development has that ability to access it. So I'm
It's
creating a
one
package
on
of
one or
different.
in one on one or groups or both?
Oh, one-on-one groups, small
Lovely.
groups, focus
Yeah.
groups, just
Yeah.
all different
Lovely.
levels because people feel comfortable in different
I
mediums,
love
and
groups
different
because people
spaces.
open up with different questions. I just sit back and be the conductor, and they go around the room and they solve each
Yeah.
other's problems. It's fantastic. right? And they come up with great
Yeah.
stuff.
No, some of them are going to be in groups. Some of them are going to be intensive in smaller groups, and I do public speaking, which I love public speaking because, my
Get the
mission is
message
to
out there.
create a movement of
Yeah,
women leaders, and to get women inspired and
yeah,
fired up to do this.
yeah. Should be,
That's the best way to do it.
yeah,
So
based
public
on my
speaking is
post today,
also something
there
I'm
should be more of you. There should be more CEOs, guys, not
doing.
CEOs,
Exactly.
GEOs. Stand up, women. You've got a
Yes,
voice.
yes.
And then Cathy's there to help
Yep.
you. Um, tell our listeners and people watching this podcast, what's the best way to reach out, Cathy, and find out more about your wonderful services and what you do? What's the best way?
Well, my website is probably the first step, and that's www.cathyholt.com. Really
Easy one,
simple.
yeah.
Yep. And then email me. I really enjoy relationship building and interacting, and that's just
Absolutely.
Cathy, but it's Cathy at Catherine-Holt.com, which is a way to
We met
email me,
across all
and
your
just,
social media.
find me. I'd love to talk to you. I love to talk to women, and I love to, hear their stories and
There it
see
is,
how we
guys.
can share
There's the
joy.
invitation, guys. Grab a glass of water, a glass of wine, coffee, depending on what time of the day it is, and reach out and have a chat to Cathy. She doesn't bite, and learn from each other. Share
Yeah.
some war stories. Learn from each other, guys. That's what it's all about. Caring and sharing, guys. Reach out. Have a voice. Cathy's there to help you have that voice, right? And find out what she's done
Exactly.
and how you can do, and you can do the same or more, right? So here's the challenge for you women out there. Reach out. Reach out from today on. When you see this, reach out, have a chat to Cathy. Costs you nothing, guys. So make it happen. Um, tell me, before we
Yeah.
wrap it up, Cathy, tell us a fun fact about yourself that most people don't know.
Um, Probably one of them that some people that know me know, because I love to travel, and you and I were talking about that earlier, but I've been to over 100 countries,
Wow,
and I plan
how
on
was that?
going. I lived in Brazil, and I've lived in Switzerland, and then I've traveled all over the place. And what I love about it is learning from the people that are there, the culture,
Absolutely. Yeah,
their stories. It's once again, it's constant learning, and you being able to share those things and have women share those things with men, and not just women, all people. Because I don't travel exotic. Well, I don't travel. How do I put this? I like to travel at the level of the people,
yeah.
not in fancy hotels and things like that. I want to get to know where I'm going and get to know it well enough
I do
during
that
my
for that
visit.
very reason. I do Airbnb and homestays for that very, very reason.
Yeah,
I get with the real, and
yeah,
funny enough, where I live, it's like Rodeo Drive. It's all plastic people. I'm with the politicians, the movie stars, the whole 9 yards. I've got a penthouse here. But what I do, pretty much every day, I go out of this area to what I call the bohemian areas with the real people. I love
mhm,
being with the real people. And it's sad, but 200 yards from where I am, guys, the big bridge that crosses over the river. And tonight, or last night, there was probably over 500 people sleeping on cardboard under that bridge. You know,
yeah,
so close to
mhm,
multimillionaires, etc. It's incredible,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
eye-opening,
And I mean,
guys.
it is eye-opening. And I also mix it in, especially when I was doing politics, and especially through the UN and my international work, with government leaders, with organizational leaders, and everything. And I think everyone has a story to share, and I
Absolutely.
learned from all of them. But when I travel, I really want to get to know where I'm going and not just the tourist spots.
That's right. Get away. But one of the things I used to do, I haven't done it so much lately. I used to, when I was going to hotels, I'd get the bellhop and I'd say to the guy, "How long have you been here? I want to know." And he'd say, "Oh, 3 years." So I thought, "Good, you're very secure." All right. I'd say, What's your day off? Or what time do you finish work? And I would take him out for dinner and drinks on me, free of charge, and he'd take me to areas where a tourist wouldn't normally go. And he
Yeah.
was my guide. It cost me about $50. So what? But I learned shit
Mhm.
real quick. real quick. And I went to places that tourists would never go to. The real places. It was so bloody fascinating. That was one of my habits. Everywhere I went, that was my habit. Get myself a tour guide real quick and learn quick. Not your typical, brochure tour guide, a grassroots type person, And,
right, exactly.
It's sad, isn't it sad, Cathy? I think about this a bit. How some people, you won't believe this, folks. Some people have never left their suburb, let alone their town or their county. They've never left their suburb, right? And that is sad. I mean, they're in their comfort zone. Good luck to them. But guys, travel is so bloody awesome. It's the people you meet, the adventures you have, the different foods. It's just so. I can't explain. I can't explain it enough. Right? In fact, even I don't have to.
Just a quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah. A quick story on that. I grew up on Long Island. I did junior high and high school in Long Island, which is outside of New York City.
Yep.
And my dad was an airline pilot, so we traveled a lot, even when I was younger.
Wow,
he went from Air Force to airline, and we traveled all over the place. He was very. We were fortunate that he included us in a lot of travel. And so I had friends in school that had never been west of New York City.
Yeah, so I'm saying.
I mean, and it's like Long Island is maybe 100 miles long.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So and here I'd been traveling all over the place, and they'd go, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Well, there's just so much to see and learn."
Absolutely. And when I die, the things I'm going to regret, I don't have enough time to go everywhere. I know I love Asia. I know Asia intimately. And my next thing, after speaking to a few guests, it gave me an inspiration recently. I've done over 300 of these. My next move is at the end of this year, I'm going to pack up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to go and meet some of my guests, have a coffee with them for real. That's going to be an awesome adventure. And I'll turn that into a YouTube.
You're always welcome.
Yeah.
Yep. You're always welcome in Connecticut or New York City, because that's where I travel between the two.
Same goes for here. You're welcome to come over here. We've got some nice condos overlooking Manila Bay. We can put you up free of charge. So the offer is also there. That
would be so much fun.
Yeah. So,
Well, thank you.
It's about enjoying your life, guys. I mean, I was going to say earlier, my girl and I, why? Because I can. I work hard. Every 2 weeks, we go away for a weekend. We go somewhere and spend money, usually an Airbnb or a resort. Doesn't have to be expensive. And we go away and we have a new adventure every time. Like the last one, I broke my shoulder. That was an adventure. That wasn't meant to happen, but it's fun, guys. We have fun. And 3 times a week, guys, we go out to restaurants. Not the top end. We're not talking 5-star. We're talking around your local Mexican. Even a local pizza shop. We go out, spend some quality time together, and enjoy the food, and we find some really great hole-in-the-wall places. We've got nice music and all sorts of stuff, guys. So we're enjoying our life. We work hard, we play hard.
Yep.
That's our philosophy.
That's the only way to be.
Well, we're not coming back. I don't think we're coming back. If you think we're coming back, give me your money and I'll give you double when you get back. But you've been an awesome guest, Cathy. Thanks for being on the show. And guys, if you want your 15 minutes of fame and learn a bit more, just like Cathy and I have, reach out. Every one of you, every man and woman there, you've all got a story to tell. Think about it, guys. A TV commercial will set you back around about $30,000 in your city, and they might go and have a beer, go to the toilet, make a hamburger while the commercial's on and miss it completely. 10 radio spots going to set you back $3 to $5 grand. They might play them at 2 o'clock in the morning when everyone's asleep. However, come on, 15 minutes of fame, and we'll make a point of putting you across Quora, Reddit, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook, our Facebook group, and of course, YouTube. Couldn't think of it for a minute. YouTube, and we'll put all your social media links and potentially put you in front of thousands of people over and over again. So this is awesome value, guys. So we'd love to see you on the show. Once again, Cathy, thanks for being a guest on the show today. It's been awesome.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. It's been so much fun. This is definitely a great podcast for anybody to be on. And I've got a few people that I'm going to introduce to you.
Appreciate it very much.